Hello, so today we're going to be going over a little bit of a fun game that I had. This was a worth the wait into multi-striker reroll. I ended up actually hitting like an ASHE 4 in this game, which is really exciting. So if you want to see that, make sure to check out the rest of the video. And if you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe because I'm trying to, get those numbers up to hit our sub goal. And it would help out a lot, especially since I'm a small TFT content creator. But anyways, we'll just go through it. I'll VOD review it through the early game into the late game. If you're here from one of the guides of how to play reroll, how to play forecast, this is usually what I do on my channel. I just go over one of my VODs and I explain the things I did right, the things I did wrong, how things worked out, and what I think I could have done differently in order to optimize it a little bit. But anyways, without much ado, starting the game off with a Wukong, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I can play towards like Jinx Wukong. That's a really good reroll line if I have the items and the spot for it. I start off with a Rod and a Sword. Rod is weird because a lot of times you can just make a Guinsoo with a lot of AD comps, and it's a pretty good item in those cases. So there's a good chance that we are still playing AD even though we have like an AP item, but we could also play towards AP. I'm just trying to figure out which units I want to hold and what I want to tailor. At the start of the game here, we know that it's Golden Prelude. So we know that we're going to hit a Gold Augment. So I definitely want to keep Wukong in. Now you could sell Wukong and make 10 gold and do all of that stuff. Sure, maybe. The reason I want to tailor for Wukong is because spin to win is still really, really strong. Even after the nerfs. And the stats, it still looks like it's fine. So it's one of the best gold augments that you can hit, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm down to just play towards spin to win here. So that's why we keep in the Wukong, just in case it tailors it and we get spin to win. So we roll here a little bit. Worth the Wait is really scary, by the way. So Worth the Wait, and then you can see I get an ASHE. So Worth the Wait recently got buffed, and it's been doing a little bit better in the stats now after getting buffed. So I'll show you right here. So it is a sub 4.5, right? An average around a 4.39. It has a pretty consistent top 4. It's like a 50-50. It's all actually pretty good. The thing with Worth the Wait is that they buffed it that I think it gives you a 2-star 1-cost champion instead of a 1-star champion. So you effectively have a greater like chance of stabilizing around your 3-star earlier into stage 3. So it actually plays very similar to like a 1-cost reroll. The thing that makes it, I think, a little bit more broken now is that because you start off so fast and they gave you the they made the game now that you can hit a 4-star. So if you have 3 3-stars, you can get a 4-star version of a unit. What happens with Worth the Wait a lot is that if the game lasts long enough, you can actually hit the 4-star variation of that unit. So a lot of times 1-cost rerolls are going to fall off and they're going to taper off towards your late game. And it's going to be really hard to win out the lobby or to get that top 4 very late in the game, because it comes down to like if other people high roll really hard and they have really expensive units on their board, your board value is going to be limited very heavily. But with Worth the Wait, you can actually hit the 4-star pretty easily. So, there's like that extra added benefit of the potential to high roll into that spot as well. So we're going to go back to the game. So I'm just scouting around. Because I got ASHE, I'm basically just going to play Multistrikers. If you don't know, 7 Multistriker is like really strong for ASHE in general. And ASHE wants to have Guinsoos. She wants to have as many Guinsoos as possible because ASHE is one of the units in the game where you look at her and you think to yourself, Guinsoo is Winsoo. So what I'm doing here is early game, especially if you're playing a 1-cost reroll, I know I'm Worth the Wait, so I'm not actually like physically quote-unquote re-rolling. I'm not physically like pressing the D button and re-rolling my units. But you have to understand that with Worth the Wait, you're effectively playing a 1-cost reroll. Just without the reroll part. So a lot of the aspects still apply, like when I was talking about my guide. You want to have items early, you want to be strong early, and you want to itemize this unit early, right? So because I'm going to be playing around this ASHE, I want to make sure that I have at least one Guinsoo. A bow is a very high value item, so I am purposely playing as weak a board as possible on my early game so that I can be low HP to get first pick on carousel. First pick on carousel means that I should be able to guarantee getting a bow on my unit, and that will guarantee me at least one Guinsoo for my ASHE, which should help me a lot into my mid game, into my late game, and all of that. So you always have to be aware of that when you're when you're playing towards these lines. Excuse me if I cough into the mic, by the way, and if my voice is a little bit quieter. It's just I'm still getting over probably COVID. I didn't get properly tested because my whole family was sick, so there's no need. But it was COVID or something very similar to it that I had, and I've just been coughing all the time. Trying to turn away from the mic, but I don't have an easy mute button, so please excuse me if that comes up. But as you can see, we just start the game off, get our bow, get our Guinsoo on our Ashe, and we should be fine. Now, this worth the wait is very, very high roll if you already have a couple copies of Ashe. If you don't know, in your shop, when you have a 3-star version of a unit, you stop seeing copies of that unit in shop. So it's really nice to have found Ashe. Like in this case, for example, I didn't find any Ashes yet, but it's really, really nice to find a bunch of Ashes in shop before I actually hit the 3-star version, because it will make it easier for me to get to that 4-star version, which will then give me like a huge, not a huge power spike, but like another little bump in power in my late game that can help me out quite a bit. So we make our first Guinsoo. Now that we have a Guinsoo, I don't really care too much. My board's still really weak, by the way, because I don't really have a front line. They're just 1-star. I'm just playing them for the synergies. So I'm not necessarily as strong as that I could be right now. I'm okay with continuing to lose streak. Ideally, you want a 5 streak. If you 5 streak, it just gives you the most amount of gold. So if you're already losing, it doesn't really matter that much to win these 2 rounds. It's usually like, you know, as soon as you start winning, you want to win every single round. So I'm okay to continue losing here. I'm just not full sacking my board anymore, because if I happen to win, I'm okay with that as well. I'm going to hit Ashe 3 very soon. By the way, I'm basically in 3 turns, so I'm going to get 1 this turn, 1 the next turn, and then by 3-2, so when I get the next augment, I will have my Ashe 3, so everything will be fine from that point onwards. So it's okay to lose up until a certain point, but you always want to think to yourself when you're playing a 1-cost reroll is that if you're losing all of stage 2, you want to win all of stage 3. If you lose stage 2 and you lose stage 3, stage 4, everybody else is going to hit their boards if they're playing 4 cost and they're playing 5 cost and playing higher cost units. So when they all hit their board, it's a toss up on who high rolls harder and what happens. So you can't guarantee that you're going to win all of stage 4. And if you lose stage 2, you lose stage 3, and then you're not even guaranteed to win on stage 4, you're just going to lose the game on the spot. That's what typically happens with rerolls if you don't manage yourself really well. So, you know, starting out, it's okay to lose streak because you want to guarantee the first item because you're front loading a lot of your game, right? Because we're playing a 1-cost unit and we're itemizing this 1-cost unit, we really, really want to make sure that we spend our time investing into this unit for the early game. Because, you know, having a 3-star unit is not very strong unless you have items for it. So in order to guarantee an item, we don't know what Krugs are going to drop. We don't know what Wolves are going to drop. We don't know what later item drops are going to be. You want to make sure that you lose streak to get the carousel pick to guarantee at least one really, really good item. At least one BIS, quote unquote BIS, best in slot item for this Ashe. So we did that. Now we're okay with winning. And we want to ideally win as many rounds as possible on stage 3 to preserve our HP, and then we can kind of bleed out to a top 4 a lot of the time. Now, of course, if we do make it long enough, this is kind of like a stall game now, that we want to hit Ashe 4. That would be really fun and interesting. I haven't done it yet. This is one of the first times I took worth the wait, and I actually got a useful unit. The other 2 times I got worth the wait were, like, you know, I got, like, Twitch and, like, Soraka before Soraka was buffed. Like, it was just miserable, and I just went guaranteed 8th. Like, they just didn't work as units at all. But in this case, I have Ashe. I have a game plan. We're going to try and play Multistriker. Here, I'm looking for a dual carry. Now, I have a bunch of Ashes. I don't want to roll on level 5 for Jax, right? Jax makes sense in some cases. Sorry, my circle missed. Jax makes sense to roll for in a lot of cases. The thing is, I have so few Jaxes, right? I didn't natural any copies of them. I have 1 Jax. So it doesn't make sense for me to waste all my gold and roll. I'd rather roll on level 6 or 7 at this point, because if I'm playing Multistriker, better stabilization points are Hecarim. Like, Hecarim would be insane to play around. If I can get a Hecarim 3, I'd much rather have a Hecarim 3 than a Jax 3. Because Hecarim is absolutely busted. He's so fucking strong. Even with the nerfs, he's still one of the strongest units in the game. So I'd rather roll on 6 and 7 odds to get those higher cost units. It's a little bit more future safe. Also, rolling on level 7 has a lot of benefits because you can also easily find a Camille. If you roll really deep, that is. This is actually really high roll, by the way. Anger Issues. I made a video on this already. Anger Issues is a pretty dog shit augment in general, but specifically for ASHE reroll, it is one of the best augments ever. Remember what I was saying before that ASHE just loves to have as many Guinsus as possible? This whole Multistriker line actually loves to have as many Guinsus as possible. If you look at Multistriker reroll, I'm not sure this current patch, there's a little bit less data, but if you look at the previous patches, one of the best prismatics, I think it was either the best or the second best prismatic you can hit when playing Multistrikers was Anger Issues. And I talked about it in a previous video that I did. I took Anger Issues and I played towards ASHE. It works really, really well. It gives a lot of armor. Yes, you don't have anti-heal, and yes, you don't have shred. That's why this augment is pretty trash in most cases. But because of the way that ASHE scales her damage, and she does so much damage in spread and AoE from stacking up the Guinsus, you run into a really good scenario if you just have 3 Guinsus that you out DPS not having shred and all of those other issues. Ideally now, if we get another augment where like that gives us shred or sundering, like there's a couple silver augments that can do that, we'll be in a really good spot. This guy got worth the wait, by the way, and he got a Ziggs. Ziggs got really badly nerfed recently. Not directly. Honeymancy got nerfed. So Honeymancy units are really like, they're really sus to play around nowadays. So just be a little bit careful around that. I'm going to roll a little bit here on level 6. I was looking for 1 copy of a Multistriker because 5 Multistriker is just better. You always want to play vertical Multistriker when you're playing ASHE. The extra procs that you get from Multistriker are very important. Additionally, 7 Multistriker gives healing to your whole team. So because your team doesn't have like a really proper tank, if that makes sense, having 7 Multistriker gives your board so much sustain. In addition to the DPS that you pump out, all of your frontline units just get so much extra sustain, so it works out really well to play around 7 Multistriker always. 7 Multistriker requires the Camille, so you always have to balance rolling on a low amount of gold, or sorry, rolling at a low level, and then balancing so you don't have too low an amount of gold, so that you're still able to push levels to eventually find the Camille. Of course, the bailout is that you just find a Camille on carousel. That happens sometimes. There's one time I saw somebody playing Multistrikers, and it was and they hit a charm that gave them the Camille. It was one of those like roll with higher cost charms or some shit. And so on level 5 they had like a Camille. Those are obviously high roll situations. Here we're pretty much going to be with this board for most of the game. It's just a matter of, do I roll on 6 or 7? I think this game I'm leaning towards rolling on 7 because I have a really strong 1 cost unit that I have a 3-star of, and I have a really good prismatic for my current board. So this is actually a game where I think I can play for first. That's a really big distinction to make. If you think that you can play for first with a game, then you should make decisions that allow you to high roll harder, right? There's a certain aspect in TFT that you want to put yourself in a spot to high roll. Right now I'm on level 6. I might roll for a charm here and there just to like keep my win streak. Because I did lose the first round, I want to make sure that I win these last 2 rounds. So as you can see, I'm rolling a little bit for a charm here that can maybe help me win one of the fights. Additionally, rolling on 6 is good because I could go for Kassadin 3 and I could go for Akali 3. Both of those are really good. A lot of times you'll see people roll for Kassadin and Akali 3. The problem is right now I have 1 copy of each of them. If I high roll and I just hit a couple copies, I'm down to roll for Kassadin 3 and Akali 3. That's why I'm rolling for a charm right now. It's like dual purpose, where I'm not just rolling a charm, benefits me, it helps me win the round. If I win the round, I keep my streak going. And then if I if I hit Akalis and Kassadins and I also upgrade them, it works. It makes sense to roll. But you'll see very soon, I'm probably just going to go level 7. And I'm just going to roll for Hecarim 3. There's actually a Vigor Vex player in the lobby, and there's another person that looks like they're angling blasters. So in my head, the way that I look at it, it's like there's going to be other people buying a lot of the 3 costs. I should ideally be able to hit Hecarim 3, and I'd rather roll on 7 odds because then I also have a chance of Callista as well as Camille. which will give me 7 multi-striker. If I roll on level 6, you'll see that my odds for a 4 cost are very low, and my odds for a 5 cost are literally 0. So sometimes it makes sense to roll on 7 here. Like I said, because I have the ASHE 3 just instantly, like I just snap my fingers and I have it because of my first augment, it incentivizes me that it would be more high roll to just like roll for Hecarim 3. Because Hecarim 3 I think is more busted than Jax, is more busted than Kassadin, is more busted than Akali by far. So ideally, I just want to duel with this Hecarim 3. And because I don't have many copies of Kassadin or Akali, I'm in a spot where I'd rather just roll on 7 odds. So you can see this turn, I didn't roll for a charm. I scouted out my lobby. I didn't think that I would lose any of the fights that I was up against anymore. The one that I was the most scared of was the guy that I fought the turn prior. So everybody that's left in my pool, I wasn't too scared of. I am now setting myself up to level to 7 and then to roll on level 7 instead. Now, maybe that's not the greatest decision, but the idea that I have is that I can just spend an eternity on level 7 without worrying about my board, right? I'd much rather roll. I can still hit Kassadin on level 7, right? There's still decent odds of finding 2 costs on level 7. I really don't care about Akali at all. I'm never going to itemize Akali, right? I'm just going to itemize my next strongest unit. And if I hit Hecarim 3, I think that I'll be insanely strong. Hecarim 3 probably out DPS's this ASHE, even in this situation. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. It's true. Hecarim is just very busted. So because I have the ASHE and I feel like I'm stable because I already have a 3-star, I'm instead just going to push level and then play around there. As you can see, we're collecting these ASHEs. To make a 4-star, it's similar to all the other ones, right? You need 3 1 costs. You need 3 1-stars to make a 2-star. You need 3 2-stars to make a 3-star. And you're going to need 3 3-stars to make a 4-star. So we don't expect to hit it anytime soon. That's going to be something that's going to be like stage 5/6, right? We're probably going to hit the ASHE if we make it that long. So you shouldn't be banking on hitting the ASHE 3. A lot of the time, it makes sense to even sell these to make econ because it's going to be so far away that by the time you hit it, you might not actually like need it, if that makes sense. But for sake of this right now, I don't necessarily need to sell these ASHEs. Something that's really important with multi-strikers as well is that if you're stuck on 5 multi-strikers and you're level 7, you could also just play 2 ASHE 3s, right? I could easily itemize 2 of these ASHEs with triple Gwinsus. That's a strategy that you can employ as well. When you're playing these reroll comps, if you don't hit like your max level and your max trait that like does a whole bunch of stuff, you could just play the extra 3 cost as like a secondary carry. Because she's going to do just as much work as she's doing now, so I'm totally down. Here, there's a couple things. Pandora's is kind of troll. That's like if you're really going for that 4-star early. But actually, I hit Blistering Strikes. Something that my team doesn't have right now is Anti-Heal or Shred. Because of this Gwinsu augment, I do not have any utility that I can use for my board right now. So it actually benefits me a lot to get an augment that then handles Anti-Heal. Because now I'm missing Shred, obviously. So if people have a lot of armor, like if someone's playing Bastions, it's going to be a really rough matchup. But at least now I don't have to worry about my opponents having a large amount of healing, which is great. Here I just take I buy the duplicator always because it's either gonna make it easier to hit ASHE 3 or it's gonna make it easier to hit this Hecarim 3. As you can see, I do have quite a few copies of the Hecarim, right? I'm at 4 copies. It started stage 4. That's actually pretty good. So I'm at a good pacing to try and find this Hecarim 3, and I have this ASHE 3 that hopefully can carry me as long as possible. Each of the Gwinsus gives a bunch of armor, so this Hecarim is going to be extremely tanky, and Hecarim also stacks the Gwinsu really fast because he does a lot of attacking. So it actually benefits me really well to like the way I'm itemizing it. I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing that might happen is that my bench might get really cluttered. Next turn, my bench will compress a lot because I'm going to hit another 3-star. Boom, we got 3-star ASHE. Without any items, I don't think this ASHE does anything because it's just going to take her forever to cast. Like the whole point of ASHE is that she ramps up with the Gwinsu and then she does like triple fire shots and like deletes the whole board. So I'm going to keep in this Zilean until I have a couple more Gwinsus. I want to keep the Gwinsus on the Hecarim because I want to have some semblance of a front line. I don't want to go full DPS and take these 2 Gwinsus with the remover and play the other ASHE like I was saying. But it's something that I could do in a couple turns, right? If I get enough items to itemize this Hecarim and then I start to have more items that I can itemize this Ashe with, then I will probably lose Chrono and put in the secondary Ashe to just up my DPS. Here I'm playing the Callista Rakan board. This guy has a movable object, by the way. So this is an example of a board where I don't have Shred, so it's very difficult to get through to him. I don't have Shred or Sundering, sorry. Because I don't have Shred or Sundering, he has a lot of armor on his board, so it's going to be very difficult for me to actually chew through everything. But yeah, we're trying to coast here. Ideally, we can win a couple of these rounds on stage 4. We want to win as many rounds as possible now because it's kind of like a waiting game. If we can hit this Ashe 4, I'm pretty confident that we can win. I haven't had a 4-star yet, like as a unit. Like I haven't hit one. So it's actually kind of a little bit exciting. Like it's finally something different. You know, something different that I've been longing for 4 weeks. I've just been suffering, it feels like, playing the same comp all the fucking time. So it's actually nice. Here, I'm always making a Guinsoo. So if there's not a unit that I particularly need, I just take the highest cost unit. So I took Karma because it was just 4 cost. You know, it's fine. And as you can see, I'm collecting these Ashes. In 9 turns, basically, we hit Ashe 3. Each round has approximately 5 to 6 rounds. So we expect to hit at the end of, like, stage 5, at the beginning of stage 6. Which is not infeasible, by the way. And then here, what's really nice is that I hit this charm that gives me copies of 1 cost. So it actually accelerates by 1 turn. So now I have another Ashe, which is great. So that's 1 turn less on the Ashe 4 counter if you're keeping track at home. And it's just that my bench might get a little bit cluttered. So we're gonna have to like balance trying to hit this Hecarim as well as holding on to all these Ashes. Because it's going to be really hard to, like, you know, I found a Callista, so that's taking up space on my bench. We got to make sure that we level adequately to hit everything, right? Level adequately so we have enough space to put units on our bench on our board. But anyways, we're 6 turns off now, right? 6 turns off of Ashe 3, which is really nice. Or, sorry, Ashe 4, my mistake. I'm collecting these Kassadins as well because there's a chance that maybe I just hit Kassadin 3. I forgot last turn to make my other Guinsoo. That's my bad, by the way. Really bad optimization by me. Obviously, I'll just point out that mistake because it's an important mistake. But we're just slow rolling 50 here. I'm still 45 HP. I'm not too concerned just yet to send it to 0. The longer I wait, nobody in the lobby looks like they're playing around Hecarim, at least from my scouting. So I'm not too worried about like not being able to hit Hecarim. I'd rather it that everybody else buys all the 3 costs that they want so that I run into a spot where I have like, you know, the best odds of hitting the 3 costs that I want because everybody else like removes them from the pool. I sell Jax here. I'm not going for Jax 3. It's just too much. So I have this Kassadin. I have 6 Kassadins, 5 Hecarims. Maybe I hit Kassadin 3 in addition to Hecarim 3. That is a possibility. So I'm kind of down. And then here I'm removing the Guinsoos from the Hecarim just in case. And I'm rolling a little bit just to try and clear up my bench. This is that point where the Ashes are going to take up a lot of space on the bench. So I really want to hit this Hecarim ASAP, right? Within the next 1 or 2 turns, I'm probably going to send it for Hecarim 3. Or the Kassadin 3, one or the other. Because once we hit a Hecarim 3, Kassadin 3, then we could just chill waiting for our Ashe. We should be stable after that. Tom Kench is good to hold on to. Here I'm just making another Guinsoo, always. Excuse me, sorry. And like I said, this is a turn that we're probably just going to roll as deep as possible for Hecarim. We find 1 off Kassadin 3, and now we have a Hecarim, and this is the part where it's very fucking confusing. Because ideally I want to just hit Hecarim 3. I could just duplicate and make Kassadin 3 here. I don't want to sell the other unit. Okay, I think I know what the mistake was. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay, so what I should have done is I should have sold... see, I just pushed a level here because it's like a one-off Hecarim now. So I can probably find it on level 8. This was pretty bad. What I should have done, I should have sold the Zillion. If I sold the Zillion, I had 1 more bench spot. And then I could have rolled for the last Hecarim. Right? That was probably the better play. And then I could have leveled after rolling for the Hecarim. I kind of just panicked because my bench was full. I got bench locked. because I have to hold on to this Callista because it's just really important. But what I should have done is I should have sold the Zillion, right? If you're in a spot like that, look for somebody on your board that you're going to replace anyways. I'm going to replace the Zillion no matter what. So yeah, here I don't have Callista items, so I don't really care about itemizing or making this Callista. And then, like I said, I just roll on 8 and I find the last Hecarim. So now I can make Hecarim 3. Like I said, I don't really care too much about Kassadin 3 because Kassadin, Hecarim's just so much better in my opinion. And yeah, now I just keep the Zillion in. I can swap out the Zillion once I hit 7 Multistriker. 7 Multistriker is always going to be better. But that's what I was saying before. Now I have a secondary ASHE 3 that I can just use as an item holder until I hit 7 Multistriker. It was a bit of a fumble last round, I'm not going to lie. It could have been very, very bad, especially if I didn't hit the last Hecarim to find the Hecarim 3 on level 8. I kind of panicked. I said I need an extra spot here so I can hold this Hecarim, and I just pushed the level. Of course, you might look at that and, you know, criticize me all you want. Go ahead, I don't really care. I already said the best play would have been to sell the Zillion and then to move one of the units on the board. I could have put one of the ASHE 3s on the board, and I would have been fine. Now it's just a waiting game. I have to survive 2 more turns. If I survive 2 more turns, I get a ASHE 4. Isn't that exciting? I don't know if we get these on neutrals or how I run into so many, but you know what? We're pretty good now because we have Hecarim 3. That's the most important part. Hecarim 3 now, we are super stable on the stage 5. If you watch this Hecarim, he is going to tank a lot. He's also going to do a lot of damage, right? Pay attention to the damage report at the end. You'll see this Hecarim 3 does pretty much more damage than the ASHE, if I'm not mistaken, in a lot of cases. But as you can see, this ASHE with the Guinsoo, she gets to that point where she's just absolutely melting the backline. We kill the backline before the front line because she has good AoE. Okay, the Hecarim did less than the ASHE there, but like you see that's very comparable, right, comparatively. Now what's this? What's this? Camilla's on the carousel. Isn't that amazing? Ideally we get it. It's not on my side, so we really gotta hope this guy didn't want it. But yeah, looks like we get it for free. The only other person that wanted Camilla, I think, was the Callista player, but the Callista player had too much HP. So it actually worked out really, really well. That's extreme high roll, because finding a Camille right now, we're good to go. We're 7 Multistriker this turn. So being 7 Multistriker, I'm also 1 turn off of ASHE 4 with 7 Multistriker. So there is a really, really good chance. Oh, what did I do there? Did I sell a I was actually curious because I played this game today. I was very confused at what happened. Oh, I sold a Callista. Yeah, that's my bad. I wanted to sell the Zillion. That's what I was trying to do, but I once again had that bench lock problem, so I kind of like accidentally sold the wrong unit. But it's okay because I had 2 Callistas. That would have been devastating if I just sold the Callista and then I didn't have 7 Multistriker. But yeah, 1 turn off of ASHE 3, and then we're finally gonna have breathing room on our bench. And we're 7 Multistrikers, so I don't expect to lose any of these rounds actually. I'm going to be very, very strong. I have passive healing now on the ASHE as well. So you see the Zillion that's trying to bomb this ASHE. I do just heal just enough to get some extra casts off, and then Hecarim can clean up for me. And now we have ASHE 4. Look at this. Isn't this going to be exciting? I've never seen a 4 cost. Actually, I have. There's been Easter eggs in previous games or previous game modes. But, of course, isn't this cool? ASHE 4. Bat chest. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is a win. I don't know how strong this ASHE 4 is going to be, but we're totally down. Basically, because it's stage 5, every turn I'm probably just going to roll for a charm here. As soon as I hit a charm, whatever charm, as long as it's a buyable charm, I'm down. And then we'll just itemize the unit as according. This guy's very strong, by the way. He was learning to spell the whole game. His Syndra items aren't that good, so like there's a good chance we've outscaled because the Syndra won't be able to snipe my backline that convincingly. But as you can see here, this ASHE is just melting, just stacking up and just absolutely melting. Because ASHE really, really loves to auto attack. So with the triple Guinsoo, ASHE 4, we run into a really, really good spot here. My next in is this Tahm Kench, if I can make it to level 9, by the way. Tahm Kench will give us Arcana, and then we can use it on the Hecarim. So I think my circles are off. There we go. We can use on the Hecarim, and then we run into a really good spot. That makes sense. Hecarim will give us extra damage as well as some durability, which is just good for our whole team's survivability. We also have the opportunity to hit Kassadin 3 because we're only one off Kassadin. It's not that unlikely to just find one extra copy of the unit on level 8. But we get an extra Guinsoo, so we can itemize this Kassadin. Hopefully we hit Kassadin 3. Buy a charm. And now there's no reason to hold extra ashes, so basically I just get free 1 gold per turn, which actually translates to be a lot of gold late game because it helps you to hit the econ thresholds as well as to hit the charms that we need. But we're going to try and keep our econ up so that we can make it to level 9 and then play the extra Tahm Kench. So we'll see how it goes. But most of these fights, I don't think they'll be able to deal with both Hecarim 3 and the ASHE 4. I just have so much damage on deck now that, unless I'm fighting a really explosive comp that just deletes my Hecarim instantly, I should be strong enough. See, that fight, for example, Hecarim did more damage than ASHE 4. That's what I was trying to say before. I have so much faith in Hecarim as a unit, just because he does so much fucking damage, and he does AoE as well, and he's tanky. So that's why I played like this, right? I could have easily just rolled for Kassadin 3, Akali 3, and just stay on level 6, and even Jax 3 or something like that. I don't see the point. I'd rather just itemize Hecarim. Even with the Guinsoos, I think Hecarim just fucking deletes units. Here I'm rolling for a charm. I'm incentivized to roll kind of deep. I know that I said I want to level for Arcana. The reason I'm rolling so deep is because I want to get a good combat charm. If I get a good combat charm, I'm pretty happy that I win the fight, because especially now that I'm 19 HP, if I lose any of these fights because of a charm diff, that can greatly hurt my placements, right? I want to try and play for a first. I want to try and get the maximum amount of LP as possible. So rolling for charm is good because I'm also rolling for these units here, right? I'm rolling for a Kalista as well as a Jax 3, and both of them are pretty substantial upgrades. Especially with 7 Multistriker, Kalista 2, that's huge. 7 Multistriker, Kassadin 3, that's also huge. So I'm incentivized to just roll for the better charm, not to overgreed and try and go 9 and all of that stuff. Because even though 9 is like a really big spike with Arcana and I get the durability and the extra attack damage, it makes sense to just, you know, like an equally strong spike is hitting Kalista, Kassadin, and a good charm, right? So there's a lot that I'm rolling for, so it makes sense in this case, for me at least, to roll. I'm trying to stay above 30 gold though, right? If I can make it to just like flash level, like just make it straight to level 9, right? I don't need that much gold. I only need around 50 gold. So I can always go level 9 in 1 or 2 turns. That is a given. But I don't want to lose 1 or 2 turns because then I'll just be 4th. Right, that's like the logic there. ASHE cleans up here. The Guinsoos give a bunch of armor and MR, so ASHE is surprisingly tanky even if the enemy gets a wrap on the back line. So it's actually really nice with this Rageblade augment that you when you itemize the ASHE. So now it's a 1v1. This guy's 21 HP. Depending on how bad of a loss he takes, that's either 1 or 2 lives, so it's actually really scary. I'm also 1 or 2 lives at 19 HP. Stage 6, I think, a 1 unit loss will put you back around 16 HP or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. We get a Guinsoo anyway, so I just take the highest cost thing that I can find. Xerath is Arcana, so I'm totally down for that. I hit this, just buy it, you know, whatever, I'll upgrade somebody. And then I roll a little bit just to see if I can hit the Kalista upgrade, because now I have an item on Kalista. I hit Kassadin 3, so that's great for me for my front line. And I keep rolling to see if I hit the Kalista. I've kind of given up on going 9. Remember I said it takes 1 to 2 turns to go 9? In this case, we both have 1 to 2 lives, so chances are the game will be over before I can make it to 9. Straight up, so I'd rather just roll a little bit, and that's why I was rolling more this turn. I don't know what charm this guy had. This guy had some kind of charm. I think there was a charm diff, so I lost this fight. Which is unfortunate. But, you know, ideally, we just roll for a good charm. Summon dragon, perfect. So that's what I mean. We're just going to use all our gold now to just roll for really good charms. Any charm that gives me like an extra frontline unit is probably going to win me the fight. So the extra dragon here is going to be huge. Because basically, I just have to put it on the same side as the Callista. And then the Callista loses so much DPS that my Ashe will out-ramp her. My Ashe will definitely out-ramp her by the end of the game. So we put Dragon on the same side as the Callista. And this should be an easy win this round. We'll see. This guy is pumping up Callista, by the way. So there is a chance that like stage 7 I get outscaled here. This was a very long game, by the way. It just worked out that it was very long. We're making it all the way to stage 7. Excuse me. This guy lives. That's fine. We're both 5 HP. It's basically next fight is the last fight. So we just gotta make sure that we position well for one more fight. You know, I could have greeted more and make it to level 9 and then play Arcana. The problem is I was just too worried that if I greeted any of those rounds without buying a charm and I randomly lost to a charm diff, that, you know, then I just don't go first, right? We saw how I already was charm diffed in that one fight against this guy, where I think that my board is way stronger than his Callisto board, but I still lost that one fight. If I lost a fight prior to that, I would already be dead by now. That's just the way that I play. I always try and do the best that I can in terms of placements, like more secure rather than greed. Here I get the support golem. This is not the support golem. I get the defensive golem. That's one of the best augments I can hit. Remember what I was saying before? Anything that I can waste this Callista on to give my Ashe time to ramp up. At one point, my Ashe is just going to delete the backline, and then I just win. I'm going to win the war of attrition always in these fights because Ashe will just pump out way more damage to more units with the triple Guinsu. Right? I scale better into the longer fights. I could roll here. I have 30 gold left over. There's nothing really I can hit though. Right? I already have Callista too. I already have everything. It's just like, you know, it is what it is. And then this is just an easy clap. This guy just got the trench coats. Trench coats don't matter at all. And he got them on backline units, so it's just a first. But yeah, that was the game. Hopefully it was enjoyable. I had a lot of fun playing it. I kind of did nothing. It was just one of those like, hey, that you just got the game handed to you on a silver platter. But you know, we take those. So Ashe 3, then into Rage Blades, into Ashe 4. And we just win the lobby for free. It was a little bit stressful in the middle part. You know, I made that panic move when I was trying to upgrade the Hecarim. So, you know, obviously we have to be really cautious about those things, especially myself being a little bit later. But, you know, this was a game that I'm playing. I'm sick and I'm live at the same time. So, you know, it's not easy to always make the best decisions while I'm playing. But, you know, in VOD review, we'll point it out and it'll be fine. But thank you for watching. Hopefully that was enjoyable and have a great rest of your day. And yeah, worth the wait. It's pretty good. You could low roll really hard on which unit you hit. So be very careful when you're taking it. Make sure you have like some level of flexible items. But if you hit a unit that's already a really good reroll unit, then your game is just set. And it's really, really fun and really, really easy. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.